and Terry with John began to write new types of material, kind of folk, country rock songs that they were writing, which a classic Two Hangmen they wrote, which is still around today.
Very good.
And we came back to Chicago. I was relatively new to all this. I didn't know. These guys had traveled some, but I never had. And they changed the name to Mason Proffit.
And how did it, what does Mason Proffit mean? How did it get that?
I only can give you a little gist of what I think it is. Mason represented sort of the Mason-Dixon line, as I remember Terry mentioning it, kind of a bayou rock, southern bayou rock. And Proffit, there was a gentleman by the name of Proffit who wrote the song Tom Dooley, which was a great acoustic hit, folk song.
Oh.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. So he took the two names and he put Mason, kind of a southern bayou rock, and Tom Dooley, or Proffit, the gentleman who wrote that song, kind of a folk era.
Oh.
So it comes into this entourage of American folk, country, bayou, southern rock type of feel.
So Proffit wrote that song.
Proffit was the gentleman who wrote Tom Dooley.
Oh.
So we started like that. At the time, if I could say, in 1967, playing in Chicago, about the only type of music that was being played then was what they called acid rock.
Oh.
Heavy, heavy, heavy. And blues. Paul Butterfield was very renowned up there. Well, Terry continued to write with John, and we started playing in Chicago. And during that time, for about a year or so, the crowd started getting bigger. Terry's dynamic singer with John, Timmy and I turned out to be a pretty dynamic rhythm section on bass and drums. And the four of us started plodding our way with these new songs with a new name, a new style. And interest grew and the populace grew, interest in us, and we began to draw fairly large crowds. And we secured then at that time a record deal with a small label, Happy Tiger Records.
Oh.
And we were fortunate enough in Chicago to meet a gentleman by the name of Dirk Bolander, who was a well-known booking agent for international famous agency IFA. Dirk took to us, so we hit the road. I hadn't been out of Indianapolis except to go to my grandmother's cottage in northern Michigan. That's as far as I ever got. The next thing you know, we're playing 250 dates a year around the country, to concerts, festivals, colleges, this is and that. And the point I bring up, it was an incredible 5 or 6 album experience. We played to, in 5 years, they say, close to 1 million people because of the festival numbers and all that. And we did a number of albums. Terry and John continued to write. And from there, we decided to kind of go different directions. And I went into another band called the String Bean String Band in Bloomington, Indiana, where I went back home. We'd been living in Los Angeles. Started with them, played with them for 2 or 3 years. And then I decided to go back to Indiana University and get a degree in sociology. And I did that. So I became an artist, musician, and a sociologist combined. I continued to play in the Bloomington area, Indianapolis, in Bloomington where Indiana University is, in a number of high-quality bands and projects, as well as utilizing my sociology degree. I began a career in the healthcare field, beginning with the American Heart Association, and did that for 4 years and spread my wings, and they sent me to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to be the director of the state office there. And I did, spent 6 years there, and during that time I came up and did the album, which you're familiar with, that people will hear someday, where I put rock and roll drums to a 50-piece orchestra. All material was written by the father of classical music, Johann Sebastian Bach.
Wow.
And it was called Bach and Roll instead of rock and roll. And I put an album out of that, and with a synthesizer, electronic synthesizer, as well as 50-piece orchestras. And that album today still is being listened to by many people. I moved on to Charlotte in 1990 and to work for an international heart research foundation called Heinemann Medical Research, which is part of the Carolinas Medical Center, one of the largest hospital chain in the entire Southeast. And of course I worked for the renowned Dr. Francis Robichek, the heart surgeon, one of the top 10 heart surgeons of all time.
Wow.
And he did 36,000 surgeries, so I got to know him well. And ran his foundation for him, raising money, doing, helping to build burn units in Haiti and Honduras, units in Central America and throughout Eastern Europe. I had a chance to go to these places and meet the people that we wanted to train. I got all the resources. So that went on. Now that was occurring over really a 15, 17-year span between 1990 and 2008. I also was in a number of bands in Charlotte that did quite well. Quasimojo, Tucker's Fault, and during that time, Margie, is when I was playing drums, and but I also began to write lyrics. Now, over the last 15 years, I've written over 500 sets of poetic lyrics.
Wow.
And learned how to play guitar, and I've written about 80 songs, of which we have a new CD coming out next month in January of 14. Whatever Happened to Mason Proffit, which
That's right.
contains 14 of my songs. Tell them a little bit about your thoughts about the songs on that album.
Well, they're all unique, and they're all wonderful in their own right.
Thank you.
And they're just, all I can say is you have to listen to them and hear them, and just
And we did hear one
purchase
of them.
the album. And
We did hear one of
we
them.
did hear one of them called
As Your Life Goes
As Your
By.
Life Goes By, and we will hear another one
At the end.
at the end. And
So really, that kind of takes you through up to now. I played in many bands, continued to write, as I mentioned, became a poet, and a songwriter, a drummer, a guitar player. I'm well considered a very, very good blues harmonica player, and had to learn how to sing. But I wanted to say something,
Sure.
if I could.
yes,
As I sit here today with you and we're about to embark on this new project, that I wanted to go back 35 years to my friends Terry Talbot, John Talbot, and Timmy Ayers, and I wanted to thank all three of them for taking me in. They didn't know me, they all knew each other, and they became tremendous influences on me to, one, don't sacrifice the quality of the music in any way with anybody you're with. Look for something that fits and works and has quality and dignity to it. So their influence on me being a professional was very, very real, and how to not compromise your musical integrity. So, you know, I miss Terry and John and Tim,
Sure.
and I know they're doing well, and I wanted to tell all three of them I'm doing well, and I wanted to let you know that a man of my age, going to be heading into my mid-60s here, that I'm still active playing music, and that I've enjoyed the whole thing. But I wanted to thank the three of them, and I wanted to say I've really enjoyed, Margie, working with you.
thank you.
Margie and I have been working together for about 2 years now, and she's been my manager, and she'll tell you later on how you can see some of the great things that she's done on video with me, and also introduce the new album that we're bringing out. So with that in mind, I just wanted to say that is a kind of a short synopsis of a 50-year career as an artist, sociologist, and executive director in the healthcare field.
Wonderful art. Just a wonderful accomplishment of your past and everything. And,
Thank you.
You know, I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
And you know, like Art Nash had said, that what's coming out in 2014, I'm releasing an album. And the title of it's called Whatever Happened to Mason Proffit. And Art, can you tell us a little bit about what these 14 songs are, what they
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Why it's different than most kind of music that you'll hear out here.
There's three types
In the market.
of recordings on here. One was the acoustic recordings that I did in mid 1995, just starting out. And you know, there's a good couple of traditional love songs on there. There's also, I was very politically oriented, and I'm a sociologist, and I know I've worked in business, and I just have an interest in us as citizens keeping our eye on our government so that they're doing the right things not only for us but for representing us around the world.
Very important.
So I wrote a couple of political songs, a love song or two, and as always, I always write a couple of songs about people on Earth who are facing difficult challenges. Starvation and genocide, the one we just heard, As Your Life Goes By, and there's another one on there called Safe Haven, which was about 250,000 people in a field in Bosnia and Albania when they were being genocided in 1990s of sorts, and President Clinton went over there and put a stop to it with our military, and I remember them saying they're sitting in a field of 250,000 people, and there's a picture of a family boiling a pot of water, putting grass in it. And they were going to eat that for dinner, and they were calling that a safe haven. So I have a song on there, what it was like when I was growing up, what my safe haven was like compared to theirs, and bringing awareness to that thought. And of course the other one that you asked me to mention quickly, South of the Border, which is so special to me. South of the border, Margie, was about a little Mexican lady in a tiny Mexican village who couldn't speak English, had never left her village. Her village was 200 people, and she decided, she had a family with 2 children, she decides she's going to have to leave her village, her family, and everyone, and come to America and pick fruit in Southern California to begin a new life and make it better for her family. It was a major challenge, as you can imagine.
Oh, sure, sure.
And the song went on at the end of time that she spent there, 30 years in America doing this, that she kept in contact with her family, but it's a heartfelt story about some of the lonely nights she had alone and in America with her new career she's trying to develop into something better for her family.